The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Good morning and welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. Jimmy, we're keeping it locked and loaded here with your favorite action motorsports radio show and a whole lot more. You never know what the hell we're going to talk about on the show, but welcome once again. We're approaching that magical number of 400 weekly episodes. Man, what a roller coaster this thing has been. And I got to tell you, speaking of roller coasters, past 2 weeks in motorsports have been one heck of a roller coaster, have not disappointed. And what a massive, massive weekend we've had. Formula D going on, IndyCar going on. We've had NHRA going on, some craziness happening in Formula One. Greg Biffle taking a big, massive win in the Truck Series, coming out of nowhere. He's going to be one of our guests today. Got Haley Deegan, who had some excitement of her own. We got Crandon coming up this weekend. I don't know, I'm missing stuff. Oh, yeah, we had Rallycross. Yes, ARX in action. First event of 2019. That happened this weekend as well. I got to tell you, this is just, I don't know, how do I even keep track of all this? I don't know, but we're going to do our best over the course of 2 hours on this national radio show. Man, it is going to be a fun one. So, yes, guests today include Greg Biffle. Yes, the man, the myth, the legend. We catch up with Greg Biffle after his big win in Texas in the Truck Series, taking home that first victory of the quote-unquote, I call it the Triple Crown. But $50,000 bonus for Kyle Busch Motorsports. We are going to have Greg Biffle. There's so many rumors swirling around about him. Hopefully we dispel the rumors here on the show today. We've also got my good friend Keegan Kincaid, my Vision Wheels teammate. Yes, Midwest Short Course going to be in action at the Big House at Crandon this weekend. I'll be calling the TV and the live stream. Hopefully you guys tune in, and it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Also, Tiffany Stone, she's going to call on, oh man, I'm getting tongue-tied here. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Crandon. Power Rankings with Chris Leone. It is going to be one slam show today. You don't want to go anywhere as we return here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Ford WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, Ford WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to Ford WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at FordWP.com.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Oh man, that was a hell of a ride. Go check out mymedic.com for the best first aid kits on the planet and save 15% with discount code Jim Beaver. Again, mymedic.com, discount code Jim Beaver, and save 15%. It's cheaper than a funeral.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Yeah, definitely check out my friends there at My Medic. Getting hurt sucks. Dying even sucks worse, but check them out, mymedic.com. Use the coupon code Jim Beaver, and that's going to get you 15% off your order of the best damn first aid kits on the planet. Yes, I said on the planet. No joke. They're no joke first aid kits. They'll save your life. They're not for cuts and bruises. Well, they'll do that, but I mean, these things are literally like tourniquets are in there. So, you know, you start to chop off your leg, you can actually save the limb. Yeah, they're legit. Check them out, mymedic.com. All right, so moving forward, yeah, like I said in the preview, we have a crazy shenanigan-filled show today. I know the big news is I've actually, you know, last month was crazy. It was in Charlotte for the ARCA race, and NASCAR qualifying was in Indy for the month of May. And, you know, and then I've had a few weeks off. And then now rolling into June, man, I am hopping a plane. I am headed to the Midwest, to Wisconsin, where Crandon, the big house, is happening this weekend. We're going to be doing live stream and, you know, announcing and stuff like that. So if you're listening to this show, and I'm sure we've got a lot of listeners to this show from the Midwest because we have Keegan Kincaid on. And if you want that full interview, it was pre-taped. We got it's a shorter one today, but the full-length one is on the Four Wheel Parts podcast. So check that out. Same RSS feed there on iTunes. Hit the subscribe button. You get them all and all that good stuff. But anyways, Midwest listeners, thanks for coming in and or showing up to listen. But yeah, I gotta say, man, Crandon, the big house. Anything at Crandon, it's like anything at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I make that comparison because literally I think you've got, as far as like fan-friendly, awesome, must-see races and events, you have Labor Day Crandon and you have Indy 500. Like, to me, those two, if you're a fan of motorsports, you go to those before you go to anything else. And yes, I am including, say, 24 Hours of Daytona, Daytona 500, Long Beach Grand Prix, which is amazing, by the way, Mid 400, all of those, yes. Crandon, Indy 500, boom. Those are your two to start with. So, yeah, Crandon, this is the smaller of the two races, but it's still going to be solid. I can't wait to get out there. But if you are a fan of the show and if you are out there at Crandon, please, man, you'll see me around. You'll hear my voice. Make sure and hit me up. You know, I'd love to meet listeners of the show. I know a lot of you hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, and, you know, even Facebook and things like that. And, you know, sometimes I miss it. I get a lot of messages and things like that. But, yeah, it's kind of nice to meet you guys in the flesh and, you know, put the face with the name. So definitely reach out to me if you guys are out there. It is going to be it's going to be a fun one, you know. You know, rolling into we've got so much. I'm just like, man, going back, you know, looking at the Baja 500, man, there was all kinds of stuff happening with there. It's like we could still be recapping the Baja 500, but it's like it's to the point where we're still talking about something that happened a week or two ago. Like, we're missing out on all this new news because, man, there is sure a lot of it. One of the big things, we're going to get to that at the start of hour number 2. I've got a clip, but Formula One, man, under fire from fans, both in the U.S. and abroad. If you're a motorsports fan, even if you're not a Formula One fan, you have seen the video, and I got to tell you, it is crap. Sebastian Vettel kind of missed a corner. Lewis Hamilton was behind him. No contact, no nothing. Vettel got penalized 5 seconds, lost the race because of this stupid penalty. I mean, anytime you've got Mario Andretti coming out in your favor, and saying, hey, FIA, hey, Formula One, this is garbage. Like, seriously, you don't argue with Mario Andretti. That dude's like the Bible, right? You just, like, seriously, if Mario Andretti says something, you just say, yes, you're right, Mario. Like, who's to argue with Mario Andretti, right? Like, I don't know anybody in the world that has that much motorsport clout or that much motorsport respect as Mario Andretti. Right? I mean, seriously, the guy's gone down to Baja. We've seen him, I think it was in the original Dust to Glory movie where he's down there shredding trucks. I mean, Indy cars, NASCAR, Le Mans, Formula One. Like, this dude has driven everything. Like, if Mario Andretti says something, you just simply nod your head, say yes, and you listen. Because anything he says, like, it's just, you don't argue with it. So, yes, that happened in Formula One. We're going to get into that. I know we don't ever talk Formula One on the show. We are going to today, guaranteed, because it is crazy. Also want to give a big shout-out to our good friends at Super ATV coming on board with the show. Super ATV makes some amazing aftermarket performance parts for UTVs, whether you're looking for control arms, axles, winches, just about anything. Super ATV got you locked in. Check them out, superatv.com. If you got a UTV, which if you're listening to this, you probably do. They definitely will get you locked in with all kinds of radness. But yeah, I got a big crate from Pro Armor recently. I'm doing a Turbo S 4-seat build. I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram, but Pro Armor is kind of one of my sponsors in the build, actually the sponsor of the build. They literally, it looked like they were delivering, like, weapons of mass destruction. Like, this looked like a crate the U.S. government would get, like, with missiles in it or something. Like, crazy crate. Things like 7 feet tall. It's, like, 10 foot long. It's, like, all, it's literally, like, wrapped in, like, this white stuff, like, white plastic that you can't see through. And it's, like, all stamped, like, with Pro Armor all over it. Like, I've never had a package like this. I have to say it is mighty, mighty impressive. So, definitely go over to my Instagram, check that out. But, I got a lot of stuff, man. We are Vegas to Reno coming up. I'm not going to do that solo. We should have some driver announcements maybe in the next week or two in regards to that. But Vegas to Reno, kind of the next big desert race coming up. I'll be racing that. But we're also doing that Turbo S 4-seat build. And I also have a 2-seat Turbo S that we're turning into a Hammers car. So I'm actually collecting all kinds of parts and stuff like that so we can get that rolling. So I don't know, man. It is it is crazy the amount of Razor stuff, that I've got going on right now. I know National Donut Day was a few days ago, I think this last weekend, right? And Polaris sent out got this funny, like, group message text with all the Razor athletes, or all the influencers, I guess. Polaris wanting us to do our best donut videos and razors and things like that, right? And so, I sent in, it was the same one I posted to Instagram of my daughter in her Razor 170, and she's just absolutely flat shredding the thing. And I got to say, both in that private group text and then in, online, all you guys saying super nice things. So I just want to, like, it's one of those, I don't put it out there very often. I don't post things with my daughter and stuff like that, mainly because I want to protect her from the just the craziness on the internet, right? But when I do something like that, it's always nice to know that my listeners and the people that follow me on social media and stuff like that, like, they kind of respect it, and and they say nice things, because internet's like a crazy world and sometimes a cesspool, but definitely wasn't. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the kind words that you said about my daughter and things like that. And I don't know, Donut Day was crazy. Social media just blew up with everybody posting crazy donut videos from all kinds of motorsport. Like, I don't know, it was kind of rad. It was kind of a cool day. I dug it. I think I'm really going to invest into Donut Day next year. Maybe put out some really, really rad video. But anyways, we're going to take a short break. We come back. We're rolling right into Power Rankings today, right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? DirtFish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, DirtFish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, DirtFish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, DirtFish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit DirtFish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from DirtFish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at DirtFish Rally. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver here, joined on the line by Chris Leone, who I guess we're going to try and keep this to one 12-minute segment. We've tried this, completely failed every single week, Chris. I think we're going to nail it this week. So that being said, crazy weekend in motorsports, massive amount of events, IndyCar, F1, Formula D, NASCAR. I mean, it was, we had ARX, I almost call it GRC there. We had ARX, the kickoff. Man, it was a wild one. That being said, who's number 5?
Jim, you're right. It was such a massive weekend, and trying to cull down this list was downright near impossible. But that's exactly why we're trying to keep it to one segment, because you got more important people to talk to than me. You got some race winners on the line. And I'm going to start with one of those race winners, not on the show this week, but Ryan Turk getting back on the top of the Formula Drift podium. So stoked to see the guys who have been in FD for a long time being able to take victories again. I mean, some of those guys, you only got 8 events a year to work with. So anytime anybody takes a victory in FD, it's just, it's super cool and super exciting. I guess Ryan's feeling a little under the weather. So Ryan, if you're listening, get well soon. But you made my list, number 5.
Yeah.
Jim, who you got?
Yeah, Ryan definitely made my list, not at number 5, and he will be a guest. I've talked with Turk. That's how we know he's sick. He'll be our guest next week on the show, so looking forward to that. Definitely well-deserved victory by him. I'll get to him in a minute. But coming in at my number 5, I had Mr. Scott Speed, and there's been a lot of talk about ARX and, and down on entries, and I know they only had 7, but I'm looking at it from a quality standpoint. I mean, Scott Speed, Tanner Faust, Patrick Sandell, Atco, it's just Steve Arpin. I mean, it's a packed field, and Scott Speed jumping in for his very first ever event with Subaru, and, he took a victory, and I believe the stat goes back his very first win in a Ford, he took a victory. Very first race ever in a Volkswagen, he took a victory. Now, very first ever race in a Subaru, he took a victory. Scott Speed, for the past few years, he has been the man to beat in rallycross in the United States, hands down. And, he's back on top once again. Got to give credit to Scott Speed, giving Subaru a massive victory, well-needed victory for them. And he's number 5 on my list.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I think I've betrayed my old sport a little bit by not including anybody on my top 5, but, it's early in the year, and frankly, we had such a packed weekend that there was no way you were going to fit everybody in. But I'll jump right ahead to my number 4, and we're heading to Texas for it. Couple of big winners in Texas, and I got both of them on my list, but I'm going to start with Joseph Newgarden at number 4 for Team Penske. We're starting to get some shades of his championship winning year a couple of years ago. Won the season opener in St. Petersburg, won again in Detroit, and won in Texas. He's got 3 victories, leading the championship. 2 of those victories in about an 8-day span. So, that ain't bad. Anytime you can win back-to-back like that, as I'm sure Simon Pagenaud would tell you, it's a huge momentum boost. And, geez, Team Penske, I think the stat right now is 22 victories across NASCAR, IndyCar, V8 supercars, everything that they're doing. It's June 11th, Jimmy. They've got 22 wins across the globe. That's out there.
Yeah, and the thing about Newgarden, he was my number 4 as well, so we'll just roll right into that. You and I actually agreed on one of them, and the placement. But, the thing is, we haven't talked a lot about Newgarden. We've talked about just about everybody else, Dixon, Rossi, Will Power, Pagenaud, like everybody. We've talked about all these guys. Like, Newgarden is having an unsexy season, and I mean that by, he's not fireworks, he's not electric. He's just putting his head down, he's doing the work, and he's winning races, and he's right there in the points lead. We're not talking about him, but that doesn't mean he's not having an amazing year. It's just there's been no fireworks around what he's doing, and I think, to win a championship, a lot of times that's what you need, and Newgarden, absolutely, he's number 4 on my list. We agree on that. Rolling in, who's your number 3, Chris?
Well, Jim, it's funny that you say there weren't a lot of fireworks, because I agree with you. That's part of the reason why Joseph Newgarden hasn't really cracked our lists all that often up until now. But there were certainly some fireworks up in Montreal, and that's why my number 3, and I wanted to give him the number 1 symbolically because I feel like he deserved the victory, but I just couldn't justify it with the guys who I've got at 1 and 2. But Sebastian Vettel dominated that race, There are words I want to say that we can't run on the radio about the call, unfortunately.
Garbage.
Ferrari won their first race of the season, and everybody knows that. Also kudos to Lewis Hamilton for being a class act about it. But, Sebastian Vettel's temper tantrum was absolutely justified, 100%. His frustrations. I know you've got the audio clip, and I'm with him 100%, and it stinks to see one of the most dramatic F1 races of the season basically be decided in the courtroom, so to speak. I think it was a bad call, and frankly, if Mario Andretti thinks it's a bad call, it's a bad call. Yeah. I would trust Mario Andretti if he told me that a red light was green, so...
Yeah, and I didn't have Vettel on my list. He's in my honorable mentions along with Haley Deegan, by the way, who had some fireworks of her own in NASCAR West. Vettel, and this is, we could take up a whole segment talking about that. I honestly almost put him on my list just because he switched the signs. I will say my takeaway from all this, though, Hamilton earned a lot of my respect with the way he handled things because I think he deep down knows it was a crap call. But what can you do? You know what I mean? He's like you said, I think people were saying, don't be mad at Hamilton, be mad at the FIA. It wasn't Hamilton's fault.
Oh, yeah.
Vettel, he's on my honorable mentions. My number 3, though, is Ryan Turk. I had him a little bit higher than you, and I think, it wasn't that he just took a victory, but I look at 2 of the guys he beat to get his victory. Anytime you go head-to-head against Forsberg and you win, and anytime you go head-to-head against Osbo and you win, to me, those guys are the best in the business, along with, Von Gittin, Odi Bakchis, James Dean. There's a few of them in there, but it was not an easy event for Turk. And to beat those guys and slay the dragons that he did, you're going to be a little bit higher up on my list. So I had Turk at number 3.
Yeah, definitely. And frankly, Jim, I think we're going to have the same 1 and 2 or close to the same 1 and 2. I'm just interested to see what order you put them in because my number 2, I'm sticking with the Biff. Greg Biffle, awesome to see. And I know the last time I was on, I said, I don't know if you can guarantee a win from a guy who's just running a one-off race because of how hard it is to come in and be successful when it's your one race of the season, right, Fernando Alonso? But, Greg Biffle coming in, taking that Truck Series victory. I mean, I know he's on the show this week. I'm so amped that he's back on the show. We've had him a couple of times, and the Biff is always such a great interview. I really should be calling it a 1A and 1B, but, I'm putting if I've really got to make a choice and make a tiebreaker, then I've got to put the Biff at number 2. Not because what he did wasn't one of the most impressive things I've seen in quite a while, but because what I've got at number one is just a tiny bit above it.
Yeah. Well, and, that being said, Biff's my number two as well, and I think we probably both have the same number one, but what he did was nothing short of remarkable. Like you said, I mean, a one-off to come in the truck series like that, and even talking with him in the interview, like literally things have changed in the truck series. Like they're not the same trucks. Obviously it's been almost 20 years since he's raced a truck, but even, on Cup and Xfinity, all the power's down, they draft differently. Holy crap, and not only that, but he brought in the highest ratings of any truck race in like 2 years. That includes Daytona. Biff brought everybody there. What I'm excited to see is what actually happens after this with Biff. Because I think this is going to lead to a little bit more seat time than he's been getting the last couple of years. I think he's going to be able to get selective with some of the events he runs. But Biffle, very well deserved number two on both of our lists, which leads us to number one. And I would be shocked if we didn't have the same number one. Who's your number one, Chris?
Oh, well, Jim, I'm going to say Steve Torrence is my number one. I could see you making the argument for the whole Torrence racing team, and that's totally justified too. I mean, just God, and these guys have become friends. So, the 5 years that I worked at GRC, I had a lot of friendships, and I tried not to get too close to people. But my God, how cool is it to see what the Torrence racing team has done, putting Steve and Billy in the same final, in Topeka. That's just one of the coolest things.
And Billy's not even racing full time. He's kind of pulling a Biff. He's just showing up on one-offs and doing his Billy thing, and the guy's still one of the best in the business. Like, I find that remarkable. Steve's won 5 in a row. I mean, that's insane by anybody's standards. I think the rest of the Top Fuel crowd is just like, what is going on right now? Like, how do we catch this guy? But for Billy to do these one-offs and win one round or win one event earlier, finish in the, make it to the final, like what Billy's doing this year is remarkable. It would have been interesting if he was running all year long.
Well, that's the thing, Jim. I mean, Billy, if the countdown started right now, Billy would be in, and they've started talking about, hey, are we going to have Billy run all these countdown races? Are we going to put him in this championship chase? Because, frankly, if you can do it, I think you do it. I know obviously they've got, other business commitments, and, Torrance Racing is not the only organization that Steve and Billy are, working for and doing things with. But, man, if you've got a chance as a part-timer to go in a championship chase, I think you do it. Because, frankly, I could very easily – if the rest of the field doesn't find something real quick, I could very easily see them going 1-2 in the championship at the end. I mean, between Steve and the 5-race winning streak, he's one of only 2 drivers who's ever done that. The only other one being Tony Schumacher, and and what Billy's done in the limited schedule. Remember, Billy won first this year. Billy was the first Torrance, to take home a Wally. So it's so impressive. It's so cool. And I mean, a lot of times people hate dynasties. I know, I'm from Boston. I've seen the Patriots. Everyone hates us, but I don't think you can hate the Torrances. There's just so much fun, that you see under that tent in the paddock. And, it's awesome to watch them, do what they've been doing. And, for the sake of competition, you always want to see some of the other folks, make it a little interesting, but I'm so impressed with what that team has done. I'm so impressed with Steve going on yet another winning streak and what Billy's done in the limited schedule. And it's just so awesome to see anybody do that at any level.
And we're up against a time block, Chris, but we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Do you race or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500 or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'd like to welcome my buddy Greg Biffle to the line. And Greg, man, I got to tell you, you're the talk of the motorsports world this past weekend, dude. I listened to NASCAR radio yesterday. All they're talking about is Biffle. I go to any website, all they're talking about is Greg Biffle, man. It's got to be good to be back.
It feels great to be back. I'll tell you, I've been, out of the seat as far as the NASCAR world goes for almost 3 years, whatever, 2.5 years. So it was nice to get back behind the wheel, and certainly I haven't driven a truck for a lot of years. So that was something different. And it took me a little bit to get used to the way they drive and the way they draft and all those things. So I'm glad that this race I raced Friday night had an extra 20 or 30 laps from the spring race. So it was a 167-lap race. But it gave me enough time to get figured out what I needed to.
Yeah, well, and I know this is, I don't know if people, because you and I talked, I think it was last year at Charlotte when we were there for the Coke 600 qualifying in the General Tire ARCA race, and you and I were talking, and you had said, you're like, I really would love to go back and do either Xfinity or Truck Series. It's got to be the right situation. It's got to be the right team. You didn't want to jump in some donkey car that's going to, run around in 30th place, which I get, and it seemed like, you have been wide open. Hey, I'm not retired. It just seemed like this was the perfect storm. It finally, things just kind of finally came together, right?
It did. Kyle's been wearing me out about coming and driving some of his trucks, and he kept bugging me about it and bugging me. And we were at the desert in Glamis after the Vegas Cup race, and he said, "So, are you going to come drive the Texas June race for me or not?" And so he put me on the spot, so I had to make a decision. And I told him I would do it. And so I went there in April, and just got to make about 10 laps in his truck, scuffing in a few sets of tires. So I just got to look at what the new configuration of 1 and 2 was like, and kind of get a little bit of the early rust off, and then was able to come back this last weekend with the 3 practice sessions and get kind of get it figured out. We qualified decent, qualified sixth, so that gave me a decent starting spot. In kind of that first half, quarter, third of the race, I felt comfortable back in the thing racing with these guys.
Well, and I know, just since you raced Cup in 2016, obviously trucks is way different, but all the three major NASCAR series, they've all changed a bit, less power. I mean, was there a lot of adjustment jumping? Obviously, you hadn't been in a truck in a while, and I don't know the nuances, you know what I mean, between a truck and, say, a car. But I know, all the series have changed just in power output and things like that. I mean, how big of an adjustment was it jumping into this truck from what you were used to back in 2016?
It was a huge adjustment, and I've told a few guys, I don't even remember what these things drove like back when I drove the truck itself, but I got the lead about middleway through the race, and I had the lead for 6 or 8 laps, and these guys kind of ganged up on me and drafted back by me. I sort of left the door open on the bottom because I didn't think they could get there, and I was shocked at how much these trucks draft and how the guy was able to get up beside me. So that actually was a turning point, because that actually helped me later in the race when I was racing Matt Crandon for the win, know where to put the truck and what lane to be in, and kind of, keep those momentum runs behind me, if you will. So I learned all night long and just sort of applied that, was patient, took my time, executed. I needed to be there at the end, and that's what we did.
Yeah, well, and I got to ask you, man, obviously, this was supposed to be a one-off. This had to get the juices flowing. You took home $50K. I know this was the start of this triple truck challenge, which, from what I read, and I think you're ineligible for that. You're eligible for possibly taking the $150K purse for 2 victories. But I got to say, this has got to like have you re-energized, right, to get behind the wheel as much as you can?
It does. As well as I do, Jim, is nothing like winning. And it doesn't matter at, what level it is, crossing the start-finish line, getting the trophy. It's exhilarating. It can spark energy in any situation. So certainly I was excited to think about running Iowa and Gateway for the other 2 races. And there was even talk about, hey, would you consider running all the rest of the races and running for the title? I mean, it blew up so fast from, hey, this is one race, I need someone to fill in, to, do you want to run for a championship? Would you want to run the other 2 races for the triple truck challenge? I mean, it's gone full circle in a short amount of time. But NASCAR did make the ruling that they wouldn't allow me to run Iowa. I can run Iowa, but wouldn't be eligible for the triple truck challenge, so to speak. So it wouldn't make sense to just me to go to Iowa to run Iowa. That wasn't scheduled anyway, but I would be eligible if we enter now, obviously, for Gateway in 2 weeks. So I think that's the plan. I'm going to come back and run Gateway in 2 weeks for the 2 of the 3 races.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny? I think, I was reading something. I think this was like the highest rated truck race all year long. Like, I log on to Twitter this morning. Ford and Toyota corporate accounts got in an argument over you. Like, this is, it's like, I mean, it's madness what's going on. Like, I haven't seen people like invested this much in a NASCAR story, and I don't know how long, man. That's like, I think it's rad. It's like, I guess there's no better way to come back. And, when you've got corporate accounts arguing over it, Toyota's laying claim to you, Ford's laying claim to you. I'm like, man, it's a good time to be Greg Biffle.
It is a good time. That means my stock price is going up, like Google or Amazon, I guess. So it makes you feel good. Lots of folks, fans, were happy about me coming back and sparking a little life into the truck series. People talked about how they enjoyed watching the race. It was actually a good race on TV. I did hear that it was the best TV ratings of a truck race in 2 years. I don't know if that's true or not. I did first hear it was the best ratings all season, which surprises me that it was better than Daytona for ratings. But again, that's all speculation because I certainly don't know the numbers. But it's great for the series. It is really good, and it's unfortunate at the same time that momentum couldn't be carried into Iowa, it being a Cup off weekend.
Yeah.
Lots of eyeballs would be or are going to be on this Iowa race. So, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's great PR for everyone, right? It's certainly being talked about.
Yeah. Well, and I know not only, obviously we've been talking about trucks, but you've stayed actually pretty damn busy behind the wheel. I know last year you jumped into Stadium Super Trucks, took a podium. I know you've got a deal, I think, with Continental Tire to run a few rounds this year in SST. I know you've been doing some Lemons racing, man. I mean, you've kind of been busy behind the wheel, just not necessarily NASCAR busy, right?
Right. And once it's in your blood, it's always in your blood. So I love racing. I raced I've raced from a school bus race to some. I built myself a Lemons car. I ran a few races for other guys in the past, but built a car. I went to Pittsburgh and raced a racetrack, Cold Turkey, up there. We finished second. We had a great time. So it's so much fun. You get get buddies, guy friends together, and they're not raced. They've never raced in their life. Yeah. They're not racers. And we go up there, there's 4 of us, and it's 8 hours one day and 7 hours the next is the way they do the Lemons races. So every 2 hours we're switching out drivers and putting fuel in it. So it's a fun time. It's competitive. And then 3 weeks later we raced Carolina Motorsports Park in Kershaw, which was an actual 24-hour race. So 11 a.m. Saturday to 11 a.m. Sunday. And we did that with 5 drivers, and there's nothing like getting in the car at 3:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's challenging. I'm telling you, putting tires on, and we're adding oil to this thing. It's got 218,000 miles on it. The engine does, and we were able to win that 24-hour race. So it's just a lot of fun to be behind the wheel and racing things, and I enjoy it because I'm getting guys that have never raced before an opportunity to get behind the wheel and coach them and help them and all those things. And my buddy's the one that took the checkered flag, to win the race. It's second race he's ever raced and first race he's ever won. And it makes you feel good to be doing things like that. And then we're running the Sand Outlaw Series, sand drag races with the side-by-sides. And that's sort of my passion, right?
Yeah.
Is the off-road and the side-by-side world. So we're racing. The next race is Labor Day weekend at UTV Invasion in St. Anthony. Then that'll be the second race. Third race is back at Sand Mountain, Utah. And then the final race is, I believe it's November 16th in Glamis.
Nice.
So we're getting a permit to run a drag race in Glamis. So it's been a lot of fun participating in that series as well.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you got the Triple B 100 that happens every year. And I know this last year I was going to fly out for it, but man, that thing's kind of blown up too. Like you told me, it's got a whole lot bigger than you ever thought it was going to get. Yeah,
it has. I think I'm going to move that. I'm going to try and do it sometime in October. October's a busy month because we're getting ready for sand season. All of our customers want, their cars done and engine swaps done. But I'm going to move it away from that December date. It's usually really cold and hard to prep the track. So we're either going to do, late October or potentially, push it back to the spring till the weather breaks. So we're going to get it out of the month of December, I think, and move it into a more favorable month. I did it then because I was off from NASCAR.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the time I've done it, but it's a lot of fun too.
So it sounds like we're going to see you in the truck in Gateway in a couple of weeks, and then that kind of is that kind of wrapping up? Obviously, kind of this stint with with KBM, and are you guys looking at the future? Maybe some events in 2020. Obviously there was a lot. I know Gander. President Gander stepped up and said, "Hey, man, I'll pay to have Greg in a truck and in this series." I mean, is there one of those where it's like, hey, maybe there's an opportunity to do, say, 10 races or something like that next season? Like, you guys maybe possibly looking at stuff like that?
Yeah, it's happened. Like I said, it's happened so fast that things have swirled around from running for the championship this year, trying to get a waiver, to running the all three of these races. So things have happened very quickly. Right now, there hasn't been any talk about next year. Obviously, there's going to be with I think Kyle's happy that someone's come in, and I think some of the other guys, Rudy, and some of the other guys in the organization are looking at me to help the young guys.
Yeah.
And so, not only, me behind the wheel, even after Friday night, they were asking me if I would be interested in coming to Gateway just to help some of these guys. They're going to be running 4 trucks, and I've won at Gateway before, and I know the racetrack. So I think there could be a driving role or a bigger role in trying to help some of these young drivers navigate their way through. So it could be a combination of running races next year. I don't know if I'm going to run the series full time. I really enjoy being retired and, running the Sand Outlaw Series events and running some Lemons races and doing stadium super trucks here and there. And if I go back full time, then everybody knows what that's like. It's a real full-time job. So I did that for 19 years, and I had a heck of a lot of fun. I don't know if I want to go back and do that full time, but anything's possible.
Well, Greg, I appreciate the time, my friend, man. Great catching up. Congrats on the win, and I can tell you we will be tuned in there at Gateway in a couple of weeks to see if you can take home $150K.
I love that. I hope so. And it's more about winning the race and the prestige of winning that, those events. It's kind of like the Triple Crown. It's more about the prestige of being able to do that than anything. So we hope we can and put on a good show, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Thanks, Greg, and we'll be back with more after this. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Just wrapping up with Greg Biffle, who does not disappoint. Stoked that we find out he is now going to be back in a NASCAR truck at least one more time this year. That is always good news for Greg Biffle fans and just fans of the sport, man. Anytime you can get a legend come in out of, I don't want to call it retired, but, and actually do what Greg did, man, that is something special. That gets the fans excited. That gets the industry excited. It is nothing but good for the sport. Hands down. So, thank you guys for tuning in. We're wrapping up hour number 1 here. If you got any questions for hour number 2, make sure and hit me up at JimBeaver15 on Twitter. Also on Instagram, Facebook. It's the same account or the same, call name. What do you call that? Username? What, at username? Is that what it is? I don't know. Drawing blanks here. man, we're only an hour in, and I'm already losing my mind. This doesn't fare well for hour number 2. That's for sure. But, also downanddirtyshow.com. We crank out daily content there, written content. Chris Leone keeps that up to date on all things motorsport, aside from mainly NASCAR, but pretty much everything else. Written content, opinion pieces, TV airings, just whatever you can think of. So check us out over there. And once again, make sure and go to iTunes. I've got 3 different shows. 2 of them use the Down and Dirty Show feed. That's the 4 Wheel Parts edition and this show. And then I've also got Project Action on Podcast One. It's got its own feed. Please go over there to iTunes, hit the subscribe button. Much appreciated to both of them. Please leave a rating or a review. 1 through 5 stars. Don't care how you rate me. Just please try and leave something there. But yes, we are going to take a short break. We come back. It is going to be hour number 2. And we've got a whole lot of fun coming at you right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty Radio Show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. We got hour number 2 on tap. If you're just joining us in national syndication, thank you. Which means this week we had some rally action, right? So that means it's the DirtFish Rally Report, brought to you by our good friends at DirtFish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com. And if you want to get locked and loaded for some classes and you need a discount, use the coupon code JBDirtFish, and that'll get you 15% off any and all classes right there at DirtFish Rally School. So ARX, America's Rallycross, kicking off at Mid-Ohio at a doubleheader for ARX3 and ARX2, and just supercars. It was just a single round. But, kicking things off with ARX3. These are those Sierra cars, kind of like buggies. I would love to race one of these things. They kicked off there. It was John McInnes with a victory, Jim Johnson, and Dave Wallingford. We know him from Stage Rally, finishing up there in the third spot. Second round of ARX3, it was McInnes and Kirkham on the box at the top 2 spots, and then Jim Johnson there in the third spot. Then moving on to Lights. It used to be called Lights. Now it's called ARX2. It was Alex Keys with a big victory. IndyCar driver Sage Karam taking a second spot for Dry and Ryan Bowl Racing. And then for DirtFish, it was Brad DeBerti. You know him from off-road. Also notable, we had J.R. Hildebrand in action. You know him from IndyCar as well. Then moving forward even further, we had round 2 of ARX2. It was Fraser McConnell, Sage Karam, and Alex Keys, 1, 2, and 3. Hildebrand once again in the 4th spot. And then we got to give a big shout-out to Gray Ledbetter. That's right. You know her. She's been around the sport of, or I guess motorsports for quite some time. We need to get her on the show very soon. But anyways, she took the 5th spot there. Cole Keats in the 6th spot. So Gray Ledbetter, man, good to see her in action in Rallycross. I know she spent some time at DirtFish. And she raced short course last year. Girl is all over the place. Definitely one to watch out for. Super talented. Then you get to supercars. You got to give a big shout out to Scott Speed. Subaru Motorsports taking the big victory, and the points lead Travis Picoy and Steve Arpin, man. Lowenbro Motorsports, Picoy and Arpin, 2nd and 3rd spots. Great showing for them to kick off the season. Tanner Faust, man, not often you don't see him off of the box. He was in 4th. Patrick Sandell and Chris Atkinson rounding out your top 6 there in ARX1. All right, that was your DirtFish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at DirtFish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com. Use the coupon code JBDirtFish for 15% off, and we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Yep, powered by Polaris RZR. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3 from General Tire. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressive styling with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? DirtFish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at DirtFish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We're going to get rolling here with hour number 2 on on your favorite motorsports radio show. Before we do, want to give a big shout out once again to our friends at mymedic.com. Check them out on the web. Use the coupon code JimBeaver. It'll get you 15% off there at mymedic.com. Best damn first aid kits on the planet. So yes, as we move into hour number 2, you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk a little Formula One. And Formula One. What? You're going, what? Where is Jimmy going with this? Like, Formula One does not deserve to be on this show. Like, I don't know. I probably got people all over the place going, he's actually going to talk Formula One? Like, I know. I'm actually going to do kind of a segment on it. But the reason being is I kind of introed it earlier in the show. They had shenanigans, absolute bananas happen in Formula One. You need to go watch the video of Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Just punch literally Vettel and Lewis Hamilton into Google, and it's going to pull up the video a million times. Millions of hits all over the internet, and 99% of the people agree that Vettel was screwed. And, even Lewis Hamilton class act in the way this happened. It wasn't him. This was an FIA deal. This wasn't a Lewis Hamilton deal. So mad respect for the way Lewis Hamilton has handled this scenario. I don't even know what to say. It's crazy. I know it was funny, though. Vettel got out of his car, or, at the finish, where they've got them all lined up. He went and actually took the sign for position 1 and moved it in front of where his car should have been, and then and took the 2 and put it next to Lewis Hamilton. So it was funny. But, all this being said, like, there was actually this really, really rad clip that I'm going to air here from Sebastian Vettel, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this. This was him, courtesy of Sky Sports television. This was him talking basically about Formula One, and he's just disgusted with what the sport has become. So it's about 2 minutes long, and it's just a really, really good listen from Sebastian Vettel on the current state of Formula One.
Just thinking that I really love my racing. I'm a purist. I love going back and looking at the old times, the old cars, the old drivers, and it's an honor when you have the chance to meet them and talk to them. They're heroes in a way. So I really love that, but I just wish I, was as good as I am doing what I do, but being in their time rather than today. I think it's not about just that decision today. There's other decisions, and just hear the wording when people come on the radio, or that we have now. We sort of have an official language. I think it's all wrong. I think we should be able to say what we think. But we're not. So in this regard, I disagree with where the sport is now. You have all this wording that, I gained an advantage, I didn't gain an advantage, I avoided a collision, all this. I just think it's wrong. It's not really what we're doing in the car. I mean, it's racing, it's common sense. If there's a hazard on track, obviously you slow down because it's quite unnatural to keep it, the pedal at the floor and run into the car and then say, it's wrong that the car was there. So I think Lewis, obviously, as I said, I rejoined the track, and then Lewis obviously had to react. I don't know how close it was or how close he was. Once I looked in the mirror, as I said, he was sort of there. But for me, that's racing, and I think a lot of the people that I just mentioned earlier, the old Formula One drivers and people on the grandstands and so on, would agree that this is just part of racing. But nowadays, it's just, I don't like it. We all sound a bit like lawyers and using the official language, and I think it just gives no edge to people and no edge to the sport. And ultimately, it's not the sport that I fell in love with and when I was watching. So obviously, it hurts me today because it impacts on my race result. But I think this is more of a bigger criteria. Tomorrow I wake up, I won't be disappointed. I think Lewis and myself, we share great respect, and I think we've achieved so much in the sport. I think we're both very, very blessed to be in that position. So one win up, one win down, I don't think it's a game changer if you've been around for such a long time. But as I said, it's just, I'm not happy about all this complaining and stuff that we see so many times.
Wow.
This is my little robot.
We got
as you can see.
We got some stupid commercial airing after the ad. Don't you love the internet, right? You can't just have a really good audio clip. Literally, this girl has a cat sitting in a litter box that looks like a spaceship. Garbage. I hate when you – thanks, Sky Sports. Well, you just got to plug on a national radio show for your cat litter box. Anyways, yes, moving on. Let's go – ignore the cat litter box. Let's go back and talk about, that clip with Vettel there. Wow. Like, this dude and – mad respect to him. I can't say I didn't. It wasn't that I disliked him. I just I became a fan after this weekend. He was Sebastian Vettel. I didn't not like him. I didn't like him. I was just kind of neutral. Like, he's a badass, right? But he wasn't one of my favorites. Now he is. Like, the words he spoke there, and this is just NASCAR. This is a problem with NASCAR, and that's why people hate Kyle Busch. But he speaks his mind, and Vettel, he's basically said they've got a noose around our neck. We're muzzled. Nobody has any edge. We're robots. We can't say what's on our mind. We have to use certain language. We're not allowed to do certain things. Let the personalities shine through. And, and it's not necessarily about that pass, but it is, because F1 wants to be so correct on everything. And they're not allowing drivers to drive. They're not allowing things to get a little bit loose. And that's one thing I love about IndyCar, man. These drivers, they're loose. They talk. They talk a little mad trash. You saw Rossi after the Indy 500. They're bumping and banging with open-wheel cars on these road courses. It's insane, right? And, at the end of the day, it's made for good racing. IndyCar ratings are through the roof. And I know you people are like, oh, well, Formula One, it's the greatest racing on the planet. I agree. The technology is insane in F1. There's nothing like a Formula One car, but I wish that they would loosen up just a hair, let these drivers drive, let them be a little bit rough and tumble, let them talk a little trash. It is okay. The fans are going to come back in groves. Not that the fans have left Formula One, but man, the sport could be so much better. It doesn't need to be so prim and proper, and they've got their ties on so tight that they can't even breathe. Loosen up, man. Give it an edge, like Vettel said. Absolutely 1,000% agree with everything he said. And this isn't just a Formula One thing. This is a motorsports in general thing. Why do you think people like off-road racing? It's because it's blue collar. It's every man. You get out, you talk trash, you bump, you bang, fenders flying off. Having a beer afterwards, and you have a beer afterwards and talk about having a beer afterwards on TV. MMA, there's trash talk. It's got an edge. That's why people love it. NASCAR's just like Formula One. Hate to say it. They have lost their edge. Guys like Kyle Busch, who I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I respect the way he does things, man. The Tony Stewarts and the Kyle Busches of the world, they are what people want to see, man. Let these personalities shine through. And I know not everybody's got that personality, but if they do, let it shine through. And a guy like Jimmy Johnson, who maybe isn't like overly aggressive on the mic like a Kyle Busch and talking trash, it adds that extra layer. So when Jimmy is, man, this is serious, right? So I don't know, man. It's that clip, it was just a great audio clip in general, and I think it spans all of motorsports. Props to Sebastian Vettel with the way he handled things. You know what? FIA, go screw yourself. That sucked. It was a bad call. You need to reverse it. End of story. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound of the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver and Tiffany Stone joining me on the show because both of us are, I can't say en route, not yet, probably about 48 hours away from that, but we are going to be heading out to Crandon for the kickoff of Midwest Short Course, and I know this isn't Labor Day, this isn't the 50th, but the brush run is still something pretty special, T-Stone, and I think you and I are both pretty excited to get there to Crandon.
Yeah, we were, just reminiscing on how cool Crandon is and how just like relax and chill. I love it. Turn 1 is so infamous, and the best thing that we were just mentioning is how busy we are sometimes. It's nice that you don't necessarily have service at Crandon, so it's kind of like, my phone's not dinging every second but with emails or notifications or whatnot. So I'm looking forward to kind of all of that.
Yeah, there's something endearing about Crandon. Like, not just the track, but everything. I don't know what it is about, like, the venue, the town. Like, there's something that just draws me to it, and I think that's with everybody. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's a good weekend away, especially when you get one of the houses on the lake rented like I've got for Labor Day. But, there's just something endearing about Crandon. Just the bars, the little restaurants, the people, the track, like everything that goes into it, not necessarily just the racing,
No, exactly. And, one of the coolest spots that a lot of people party at, and I know we've seen Keegan Kincaid there actually bartending many of times for Sleeveless Sunday. And if you've ever been to group therapy on Sunday after Crandon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've actually been there. Remember, Jim? We went there last year during Labor Day.
Yeah, we had a good time. It was me, you, my dad, my cousin, all the Vision Wheel guys. That was after we got pepper sprayed at Ducks. But yeah, it's a good time. I know that was when I actually the interview I've got, I did with Keegan. We were talking about group therapy, and I asked him if he was still the champ of Dragon Punch there. And he said, honestly, he's like, I hope so, but I don't know. He's like, with twins, I haven't been back to the bar since Crandon last year. So he's like, I need to go in and see if I'm still a record holder.
We spent a lot of money on punching that thing. And what we found out, and I think there's pictures or video of it, but you don't have to hit it hard. You just have to hit it in like the little sweet spot that it has. And as long as you hit that little sweet spot, you can at least hit over 750, almost 800 every time. Because I did it with one hand, my right hand, and my purse in my left hand. And I still hit over 750.
Yeah, and you beat half the guys in the bar when you did that too.
No, I did. And then they all said, nope, not anymore. I was like, you guys want to go? You want to go? They're like, nope. And so I don't think that they wanted to get a lower score than a female who literally just walked up, punched it, and had her purse in her hand, still doing it.
I'm feeling a new occupation. If this whole like on-air talent thing doesn't work out for you, T-Stone, I think you could be a good carny. Like, you could be one of those, like, at the carnivals and stuff like that. Like, the guys would walk up, the hammers where you hit it and it goes up and hits the bell and stuff. Like, you could be like a chick that, oh, you're a wuss, I bet I can outswing you. And, like, you do it, and then it goes up and bing, hits the bell. And then the guy does it and goes, like, halfway, and you can, like, totally taunt him and get him to spend a whole bunch of money. You would make a good carny.
Probably. I mean, then I would try to do some side bets if that was allowed, just being like, all right, double or nothing. And then obviously go a little slower and then build it up and just totally shark them on that.
Yeah, it's totally, you'd be a total con artist, but whatever, money's money, right?
Pretty much. But yeah, so moral of the story, Sunday night, Sleeveless Sundays, group therapy in Crandon is the place to be.
Yeah, definitely. Don't wear a good shirt if you go. Like, legit, do not wear a good shirt. You wear your, like, rattiest old shirt because sleeves are going to get cut off of that sucker.
Exactly. And last year I wore the one that had, my shoulders had holes in them. So it was kind of like sleeveless already. So I just tucked them in my shirt, and literally nobody was none the wiser. They all thought that my sleeves were ripped off.
Yeah. Well, in their defense, at that point, they were probably at least a 6-pack or a few, I guess, like a quarter bottle of whiskey in or something. So they probably weren't paying that much attention. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think that they're afraid of me. Low key, they're afraid of me, Jim. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, you could double as a ninja. Like I could see that. Like people would see like. You kind of got that mysterious, like, you could, like, they were like, is she like a black belt in hiding? We don't know. Let's not screw with her.
Pretty much. I think people are afraid to not. I'll just keep it that way. Anyway, so back to Crandon, back to the spring run coming up.
So big news coming out. RJ Anderson is making the trip to the Midwest. I think that's big. You know, we saw RJ at I guess the big Crandon, the Labor Day Crandon last year, but he's coming out. Sounds like he's going to be doing both of them. Probably knowing RJ, he's wanting that big money purse come Labor Day, so he's coming out to this one to kind of get some tuning on the truck, I would assume, so he can make a really good run come Labor Day. But I don't know. That's another West Coast guy making the trip to the Midwest. I think that's pretty rad.
I think that's cool too. And I always wonder now with like short course and how it's going and how Lucas Oil has everything kind of, and they're trying to work on some things. How many of the guys that race desert are thinking, hey, maybe I might want to race short course for the 50th anniversary? I'm really looking to see what entry list we have for the 50th. I know that's, 2 months away, and obviously we haven't even hit first Crandon, but I think that would be so interesting just to see who would come out and how many desert guys might come out.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I know I talked to the guys, Jimmy Bikeman, and I had a deal kind of worked out to possibly do some UTV racing, and then I got the call for TV, and so I'm doing that now. But I think it doesn't matter if you're a desert guy, if you're a West Coast short course guy, if you're any kind of off-road driver, like Crandon is that one that's in the back of your head, like, I need to race that event. Like, I have to go at some point. And I think, like, Mint 400, Baja, and, like, King of the Hammers are those other kind of marquee events where everybody, regardless of what type of off-road racing you do, like, in the back of your mind, you're like, I got to find out some way, somehow to go and run that event at least once, It's like bucket list for a driver.
Pretty much. I mean, it's a bucket list for a spectator, too. So, it's a win-win situation. Let's just say it's a motorsports bucket list to go to Crandon, no matter what you are, a spectator and or a driver. Oh,
absolutely. I put Crandon up there. There's some must-see events, you know what I mean? And I'd say Indy 500 is one of them. And I'm talking about just for, like, the experience type of thing. But I would put Crandon at the top of the list, up there with some of the best in the country, as far as circuits and things like that, Like Indy 500 is fun because it's more of a festival. Something like Daytona where it's like, I don't know. Like, I would put Crandon on the fun factor, that and Indy 500, like, at the top of the list. Like, to me, those two, and I've been to a lot of motorsports. You've been to a lot of motorsports, but I would put those neck and neck as, like, if you can only go to one event a year, those two have to be at the top of your list.
Yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to go to Indy 500 yet. So that's on my top of the list. But I've been very fortunate, same as you, to be able to cover certain off-road events and be able to get a good view of it, like King of the Hammers, the Mint 400. And it's just awesome because, as an on-air talent, you are very lucky and very blessed to be able to go do those things. So sometimes we're spoiled and I have to step back and be like, wow, I've done a lot of cool things. So, yeah, overall, that's on there. And like you were saying, downtown Crandon's cool. The track's cool. The Red Barn, and if you haven't had the cheese curds or the chicken wings, then you definitely need that.
You bring up the food. I hadn't even thought about that, but there's something about those wings and cheese curds at Crandon, like they're not greasy. Like like you think of wings and you think of cheese curds at a sporting event, and then you think like grease. But for some odd reason, there's like no grease. They're like. They've perfected their recipe, and I never thought I would be saying that about racetrack food. But the stuff at Crandon, like literally, it's at the top of the list of the best racetrack food in the country, hands down.
Exactly, I agree with you. So we need to make a bet on who can eat the most chicken wings this weekend.
For some odd reason, I know you're going to win. Like for some odd reason, I think you're like one of those like pro eaters. Like I feel like I've been out to dinner with you a bunch of times, with our group of people and stuff like that. And like you're always mellow, low key. But I feel like if it came down to that, like it would be gloves off. You would come out swinging, like smoke through 200 chicken wings or something.
A whole show about cheese curds and chicken wings.
I have no idea. You never know where the hell things are going to go. But we got about 5 minutes left in this segment, and we do have to talk about Crandon. So I mentioned RJ Anderson. I know Andrew Carlson, he's going to be in Pro 4 also. I know we got one of the Klymans moving up into Pro 2, I believe. obviously we've got the Greaves, running whatever the Greaves run. I know Pro 4, obviously, you never know if they're going to jump in UTVs or pull the Pro 2 out of the mothballs and go out and try and take a cup win or something. But I don't know, what other rumors have you heard about some of the entries and some of the, the characters coming in?
One of my faves, and we've always talked, I'm excited to see what Michael's so humble and so quiet, and him and his girlfriend Caitlin, just couple goals all day long. They're just cute. But Michael, as soon as he gets behind, the wheel, puts on that helmet, straps in and everything, it's a different guy. And I'm really excited to see that. I'm excited to see stock truck. I'm excited to see the Vissers out there again. And then, I know some of the stock guys are moving up where a lot of some of the, pro guys, they're leaving. I know Rupel, I heard, isn't going to be here. Of course, Cody Conrad's still moving up and different things like that. So I'm excited to see that overall. But really, I think what else I'm excited to see is kind of what the UTV field is going to do. It's kind of been the fourth full season of UTVs. People kind of know what's going on. The rule book's been out for a while. So it's kind of cool to maybe see what people will be moving up or what people will be going in different classes. And I think Kyle Cheney's still coming in, and if so, I'm excited to see what Kyle Cheney's going to do, because I know that he raced UTV roads this April as well. Plus, I think he came out to King of the Hammers, so I'm just excited to see what he's going to do. And he's running a Can-Am, so it's kind of different than the Razor or the Yamaha. Yeah,
that's a whole different ball game there. You start talking UTVs and some of the talent, and obviously I think Kyle Greaves moving up. I think because he was in Sportsman last year. I think Kyle Greaves is moving up a division too. So you got another heavy hitter being added into the mix in I guess the pro UTV division. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch that. I mean, Pro Light, Pro 2, Pro 4, all of them are stacked. We saw Pro 2, last year. It was just interesting. Van den Heuvel, kind of came out of nowhere and started, and pushed all season long. Keegan's got this truck that was new last year, dialed in for this year. Chad Horde was a rocket last year. It's going to be exciting.
No, I am really excited just to see what everybody's going to do, Honestly, it's nothing to do with trucks, but I'm excited to see Keegan Kincaid's twins, too. I'm wondering if him being a twin dad now is giving him extra superpowers or how he feels about everything, because he's got now 3 boys and a full race team ready to go. So I think Keegan's going to be super pumped, and that little bit of dad power might push him over the edge to really, really dominate this season, too.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? DirtFish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at DirtFish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor and the Full Parts Off-Road Edition. We're going to air this on, I guess, a couple of shows this week. But I'd like to welcome my Vision Wheel teammate to the line, Keegan Kincaid. Man, it is race week in Crandon. I guess it doesn't get much better than that, right?
No, it's finally here. The weather's nice in Crandon, and we're ready to go racing. So, been busy week, playing catch-up and getting everything ready for the first round.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for you Midwest short course guys, because us on the West Coast, man, we've been playing all winter long and all spring, and it's been a hell of a long layoff for you.
Yeah, I've been jealous. I've been watching Lucas have almost 3 races in already, and it's been itching to get in the truck, but we finally got rid of some snow, and it works out great this way. It gives us a little more time to prep, a little more time to practice, and be ready for that first round at Crandon. So.
Yeah. So what happens? I mean, a lot of these, like us in the West Coast, me with my desert program, we're running year round. And, on the off weekends, we're out, just having fun in the desert and razors or whatever. Like, what is Keegan Kincaid doing this big, long stretch over the winter, man? I know you're out hunting and stuff like that. Like, you guys got to fill your time with something because, I mean, we all love the race shop, but at some point when there's, like, feet of snow on the ground, you kind of look at the race shop and you're looking at other things. You're like, yeah, like, I think I'm going to go do something else today, right?
Yeah, I enjoy sports and basketball, and I actually coach the Crandon girls varsity basketball team in the off season, and it's great because I'm passionate about it and I enjoy to do it. And while it's cold, we can go do some inside sports. So it's been great. We went to state the first year, and we were one game short of it this season as well. And it's been fun. Besides that, we pretty much just work on race trucks and try to prep our program. It's just me and my dad usually in the shop in the off season, and he has a couple cool projects going on right now, a couple hot rods, just staying busy and getting the Pro 4 ready again and hopefully get that thing out there.
Yeah. When you decide, because I know you and your dad, you build all your own trucks, and when you guys decide, like, well, one, what makes you decide to build a new truck? And two, like, I mean, how long is this something like, Crandon wraps up, Labor Day weekend and you're going to build a new truck for the next season? Is it one of those where it's like, oh, we probably ought to get started on this sooner rather than later, and you just start laying tubes? I mean, what, I guess 2-part question, but how does that whole process work for you guys?
Yeah, usually it's my dad brainstorming, coming up with another great idea or something that we've been wanting to try on the truck that we have. And sometimes it's easier for us just to go and build a new truck, sell the one that we have, and we'll build a new truck instead of cutting ours apart and redoing it. And we just enjoy building them, and that's what we do for a living. So sometimes it's easier and quicker just to build a chassis and start doing the things that we want to do. And usually it's decided before the last race, or at least shortly after, so we have some time to finish it. The last 2 seasons we've been unfortunate. Last season we didn't get to practice with the Pro 2, the brand new truck that we brought out. The year before it was the Pro 4. So this year we got to shake it down a little bit. Just unfortunate circumstances. My best friend passed away and last week, and when we were supposed to go testing, and that kind of takes priority. So we'll be ready to go again this year. It's my home track. It's not like I'm learning anything new at the track, just trying to tune in the truck again. But we got the same truck this year, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah. Well, here's the question. You talked about Crandon. It's your hometown track. Obviously, your family's got as many laps around that place as, anybody walking the planet. Does Crandon, is a track, obviously the layout is the same every single year. I know, what was it, last year they threw that kind of anomaly and they ran the short track, I think, at the spring race. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think you guys ran the short track. It was like the first time in forever. But I mean, that being said, like the track, does it change from year to year? I mean, do the grooves pretty much form in the same spot? Does the fast line pretty much stay the same, or is it something that shifts year to year? It's like you've got to kind of figure out what lane you want to run. I mean, what changes, or is it pretty consistent?
Yeah, they try to adapt the track every year where they add a little more banking in different corners, and it's kind of evolved since I've started racing, but it's be getting faster and faster every year. And I guess the biggest variable is weather. Whether you get rain the night before or if it stays dry, that really changes the line and how heavy the track is. But like last year, we got to run the short track. That was my first ever time running the short track, and I enjoyed it, but it's nothing like that long track and getting back in the back section and just letting the truck eat. So, but it's a fast track. It's something that you have actually a lot of time to think in between each corner, and you can just settle in and race. And but the most crucial part about Crandon is that land rush start. If you can get out and be in the top 3, you'll have a chance to win it. If you're in the back, you're going to have to work extra hard to make sure you get up front, and odds are against you. But we look forward to this weekend.
Yeah. Well, talking about the land rush start, is that one of those, like, I want to go back to like your first time ever racing Crandon. You know, you'd watch your dad do this for years, right? You're there on the line. I think what was it in Pro Light? You know, you're stacked up against all these guys. You know, and you guys go. And you know, there had to have been like, you know, some nerves. I'm sure there's still nerves when you do the land rush start, because I mean you're putting a lot of faith in everybody around you, right, to stay in lanes. Because I mean we've seen it. You know, things can happen during that land rush start.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest adrenaline rush that I've ever had in my life, and it's hard to explain to someone that's never done it. But I think the nervous part is sitting there on the line, looking over, knowing that you're racing against the best in the business, and just can't wait to get the race going. And Crandon's unlike any other, where you don't get to see the track prior to actually going green, so you're relying on your spotter to give you direction and tell you where things are wet and where the track isn't wet, and it's a lot of unknowns, and I think that's where the nerves actually come in. But once you hit the gas and the green flag drops, they're all out the window, and we're going. You know what I mean? And it's the biggest, like I said, it's the biggest adrenaline rush someone could ever have, and the nerves are going, and sometimes you question what you're doing when you're sitting on the line, but it's a adrenaline rush and something that's unexplainable. So it's fun.
Yeah. Well, you know, let's talk a little bit about, you know, I guess you've kind of had this crazy career path, you know, Pro Light, Pro 2, did Pro 4, kind of back to Pro 2. I know it sounds like this year, I think at Crandon, I just heard maybe RJ Anderson's bringing his Pro 4 back to do this one here this week. But, you know, it seems like that class might be coming back just a hair this year. But, like, what goes in when you're looking at things? And obviously, I know you guys are very much, your dad was the same way, you're that way. You've got some partners. I mean, you guys aren't, you know, you're kind of like me and a lot of other guys where you're not independently wealthy. You just can't write $1 million checks for things, you know? So it's like you've got to have the sponsors align. The business model's got to be there. You know, you do a lot of the work yourself to save you guys costs. I mean, what goes into you deciding, like, when you made that decision to go to Pro 4 and then back to Pro 2? I mean, what weighs on those decisions? And, you know, all that being said, is it like, you know, is a Pro 4 something you're eyeing and maybe things turn the corner there, like, you know, in a year or two, maybe we go back to that? You know, how's that all line up?
Yeah, you know, I guess the biggest thing is budget, you know, and that's where me and my dad have been doing this basically by ourselves in the off season and in the most affordable route we can, and building our trucks. And we have a little help here and there in the off season, but for the most part, we're just independent. And that's where we can save a lot of our costs is that we do it ourselves. You know, we build our trucks ourselves, and otherwise I don't know if this would actually be possible. But the sponsors that I do have, you know, have been amazing, and we've always looked at Pro 4 as the premier class, and what you want to attain that goal is being there racing against Kyle LeDuc, RJ Anderson, Rob Mack, and all those guys, you know, when they were in Pro 4, and budget was just outrageous to be able to afford Pro 4 and do it at what you needed to do to compete, I guess. And that's where we just made the decision that we needed to go back to Pro 2. We have a good budget for Pro 2, and it's some of the best racing. We have, you know, the biggest numbers in this class, and I only expect it to grow, you know. So that's where we're at right now, and until they give us a direction that Pro 4 is the premier class again, and we want to eventually go back there. We still have my Pro 4, and we're working on that slowly, and hopefully we can get that back out next year if things turn around and budget helps, and hopefully we can do a Pro 2, Pro 4 program. That's always been my goal, and hopefully we get there. So.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, I think, you know, with the you know, I guess Midwest, you know, we've kind of, you know, hit a turning point last year, and, you know, and moving forward, you know, it seems like every year things have kind of been in flux. It seems like, you know, maybe there's a little bit of stability now. I mean, I see some of the West Coast. I know what Ryan Beats committed to doing the entire Midwest series, as well as the West Coast, things like that. I mean, you know, you kind of excited where, you know, because the longest time you've been kind of a Midwest guy, and I know once in a while you've done some one-offs, you know, at some of the events on the West Coast. That's something you're eyeing, like, hey, maybe we can make a roll at this and maybe do both series, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, you know, that's also one of my goals, is to be able to race both, you know, and hopefully it becomes one where we can race one series that's nationwide, and at the moment, this year we're going to actually be out in Arizona the last race of the year.
Nice.
Going to come with the Lucas Series and plan on going out there and seeing what we have. We don't know if it'll be in the Pro 4 or the Pro 2 yet, but a lot of things up in the air. But for sure we'll be out there this year and hopefully competing for another cup.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's funny, too, because fans always, I think it's the West Coast guys always get asked, hey, you're going to go back to Crandon. Everybody wants to go to Crandon. And, you get asked, a lot of people like, hey, you're going to go do a West Coast race. And, the answer is, yeah, we want to race them all. But I think people forget, like, you say yes to going to an event, and that's a 5-figure budget. You know what I mean? It's like you're throwing 5 figures up in the air, to decide to go and do one of these races. I think a lot of fans at home, like, they're so passionate, they want to see Keegan at all these events, but I think they forget about, actually the monetary aspect of it. It's like, you going, yes, I'm going to go. It's like, oh, there's 5 figures.
Yeah. In all honesty, we'd love to race every race we could, you know what I mean? And if we had the budget, we would. And that's one thing that at the beginning of the year, we got to see where we sit for budget wise and see what races are important, you know what I mean, to us and what we can feasibly do with them going backwards, and so we can race again the following year. So that's a huge part of it, and that's where we're striving to get to, is hopefully be able to race everywhere. I guys like Ryan Bead and RJ Anderson's coming out this year to spring Crandon, and I think that's all great, and I think that's a start to the merger of the East and West to be able to race a full series together and compete. It sucks that we couldn't go to Wheatland. We had that on our bucket list for this season, but it'll get moved till next year. So we're excited for that, and hopefully be able to keep continuing and growing our program. I think we're doing great things this year. I'm adding a couple a vlog, and we're bringing on a full-time camera crew so we can sit there and do a lot of content and hopefully bring more content to our viewers and fans and everybody that wants to see more behind-the-scenes stuff at Keegan Kincaid Racing. So we're excited for that and excited for 2019. So.
Yeah. Any other, I know you and I talk quite frequently about, about desert racing and stadium super trucks and anything like that. I mean, right now, obviously you're slated for a full, season of short course. Any little inklings that maybe SST or some desert racing or stuff like that may be possible this year?
Yeah, we're actually trying to. Vision Wheel has been huge in the support and help and getting me in contact with a couple of some desert guys, and hopefully we can get our feet wet, at least get out to a couple events this year, and hopefully in the future we can team up and do a couple desert events. I know like King of the Hammers is on my bucket list, and especially the Mint 400. Those are the two that we really want to try to achieve and get there. And for what we do, we'd have to build a one-off car, and whether it's in a UTV or in even an Ultra 4, my dad eventually wanted to dabble in and maybe try to build a cool car to go out there and compete. And that's all stuff that's been talked about, and hopefully, if the budget comes up, we can go and do and compete to win at those, because I think those are some of the two largest events that compete with Crandon. So we want those on our bucket list and venture outside of short course off-road racing.
And we've got more with Keegan Kincaid, but in order to catch it, you're going to have to check out the 4 Wheel Parts off-road edition of our show that's already dropped there on iTunes, our website, Podcast One, and everywhere you get our podcasts. So check it out, and we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? DirtFish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at DirtFish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Getting ready to wrap things up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show that we had on tap for you guys today. Man, it was a massive weekend. Like I said, I am en route to Crandon. So hopefully if you're out there in Wisconsin, make sure and hit me up. Tune into the live stream. Would love to get your feedback. Once again, give me a follow at Jim Beaver 15 on all forms of social media. And if you're out there at Crandon, maybe I'll see your tweet or your Instagram ping or something like that, and we'll be able to meet up and maybe even have a beer. Who knows? But yeah, man, fun one. Obviously Crandon, the big one coming up this weekend, off weekend for IndyCar and some others. But yeah, it's definitely going to be fun there in the Midwest this weekend. We'll have a lot to talk about next week on both shows. Speaking of both shows, so make sure and check us out. Down and Dirty Show on iTunes. You can subscribe to the RSS feed. You're going to get both the off-road edition and the national show. So thank you for everybody who has done that already. Please, man, continue to do it. We're starting to really crank on the iTunes charts, and it's really helping us out a lot. So please leave a rating review. Check out Project Action, my other show, and check us out on the web, downanddirtyshow.com. Big shout out to Polaris Razor, General Tire, 4 Parts, My Medic, Super ATV, Vision Wheel, Gibson Exhaust, DirtFish, MotoShield Pro, and don't forget, it's JB DirtFish for 15% off at DirtFish Rally School, and it is Jim Beaver for 15% off at mymedic.com. All right, we're going to sign off. Hopefully you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week with 3 more shows coming at you here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.